When you add up all of the touches we're doing to our database, you're up to almost 200 touch points, basically hitting the sphere.
200? That's way too many.
Think about your spouse. How many touch points do you have?
That's none of your business.
Don't be dirty, but yeah.
For the viewers and listeners, the opinions of Keith Robinson expressed are his own.
You need more. The truth is you need more.
You talk about it privately. We talk about it publicly. This is the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. Welcome again to the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. I'm your host, Wiggy, where I go off a cliff and don't hold back my feelings on a bunch of stuff.
Never.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Crazy Uncle Keith.
Yes, sir.
We had Luke Acree from Media President. I loved this show.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I don't know, it's just
He's
honest.
smart, man. He's
smart,
smart, well-read, thoughtful, gets it. What I love, look, we covered territory, but he shared what really works when reaching out to your database. And as a print and digital media guy, I promise you'll be surprised by the answer. A concept of calling just say hello, which I found refreshing and interesting. The exact plan, like literally the exact plan, how he and his brother built a successful real estate team doing nearly 300 transactions a year, half of that by referral. He talked about the frequency illusion, the importance of delayed gratification, and how to push through rejection, and a whole lot more. You are going to love this one. Put it in your ears, kids.
Luke, welcome to the show. You are in for it, my friend, because I am on one today, and God knows what's going to come out of my mouth during this podcast.
Can't wait.
I'm excited and nervous all at the same time.
You should be.
I am just excited.
Yeah, because Keith just finds it humorous when I say stupid shit that ends up probably getting us canceled.
I love it when you.
Is that why Keith is laughing all the time?
I have a good time. Look, as soon as this stops being a good time, I'm gonna stop doing it.
Yeah, fair. That is a fair point. So, all right, Luke, you do this all the time. So you've got your own show. We appreciate, by the way, being on yours. That was fun to do.
Yeah, you guys crushed it. Even my assistant who helps out with some of the stuff said, I love those guys. They're so cool. I was like, they're not that cool. Come on.
We're pretty cool. Just ask us.
So, all right. Just kidding. That didn't happen. All right, Luke. So you've been in the marketing real estate business for basically your whole life. So give us your speed round on your background, etc. Tell us who Luke is.
Yeah, that's a long story. 2 minutes of it. So grew up family of 8 kids, homeschooled, son of a pastor. So a little bit about kind of, I guess,
so much.
Exactly. Right. And so in college, started a website business called Next Mark Design with my brother Dan. My brother Dan's really the talent behind the scenes. He's the genius marketer. I'm the mouthpiece. Yeah. Exactly. So then Steve, who is my uncle, so just a total family business here. Steve was in the print space with Reminder Media. And about 14, almost 15 years ago, convinced us, hey, we should join forces. And God's blessed us, man. We've gone from about 30 employees to about 300, have helped over 153,000 real estate agents at this point. And we're in the print digital marketing space, but marketing is so broad. Our niche is really relationship marketing. How do you keep in touch with your sphere, with the people that matter most? That's really what we strive to do. Yeah.
Well, I love it because we're going to get deep into that conversation today and talk about all of that. Keith and I we're branching out. So viewers and listeners, we're starting to add a lot of additional content for agents and just trying to get a little more tactical stuff in the mix, as well as talking about all of the drama that never leaves our industry.
Dude, there is a lot of drama in real estate because we work in 140 different industries, and real estate agents, let's just say they are unique.
Why do you think, okay, so this isn't the speed round, but why is there such a proclivity for drama in this industry?
Because I think people get in with a total false expectation that they're going to be their own boss, that there's this freedom and money in real estate that is like la la land, does not exist. And they get in real quickly and find out because they don't have to take a hard license to get in. It's not very hard to get your real estate license. And they get in, they find out real quickly that it is nothing what they thought. But their personality type is one that still believes that it can be what they thought. And then there's this natural tension. So,
Luke, you're going to laugh at this because I was at a reception the other day and somebody was like, we were talking, they were like, oh, I'm new. And I'm like, oh, why'd you get into real estate? And they were like, I wanted the freedom to be my own boss. I turned to the bartender. I was like, check, please. And I was like, I'm out. paid my bill and I was like, I'm out of here. So
it's so crazy, man. It's like they show up to work, what drives me, and I love the real estate industry. I mean, my family has a real estate business. We're serving the real estate industry. I mean, whatever, but here's the truth of it. The truth of it is they show up to work in corporate America at 8 a.m. for a boss, and they won't do that for themselves. The amount of real estate agents that I talk to every single day that do not start their day early in the morning and actually work an 8-hour day blows my mind. And they think they make up for it by working weekends and stuff. You're like, no. Mm-hmm. That is not how this works. If you just honored your calendar and would actually show up every single day. Now you guys are getting me on a soapbox.
But I don't think that's agent specific or industry specific.
Just people.
I think it's human. Like if many of us, not all, but many of us will work harder for someone else than we will for ourselves, right? We're tribal creatures.
That's well said. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are humans who will get up every day and work hard regardless of if someone is holding them accountable or pushing them, but most humans won't, right? And I think that's more of a human condition. But where I really want to double click on what you said is, and then we'll get to the speed round questions, but it's promoted in a way that's very different than reality.
Fair.
Yeah. Right. This is easy. I'm not saying the industry promotes it that way, but that's from the outside looking in. It's not hard. You make a lot of money. You get a white Mercedes, 2 martini lunches, right? Like, yeah, let's go do that. And while there can be truth to that, it's only if you're sacrificing a little bit of that freedom to the real estate gods so you can get your unfair share on the other side. But I think if we looked at any independent contractor sales organization, there's probably a similar experience.
There is similarity in insurance, that's for sure. And it's probably the closest from a 1099 type, setup. It's very similar in that regard.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the speed round. This one's selfish for me. I'm a pretty voracious reader and podcast consumer. And you and I have actually talked about this, but for all the audience, favorite book, podcast, what are you listening to, reading, and why?
Podcast, 2 podcasts that have recently been on my feed all year long. The Entree Leadership by Dave Ramsey. I feel like my father. Sure. I somehow have found my way back to Dave Ramsey, which is wild. But I didn't like him for a while because I don't like his views on some things, but the guy's is
he still a lunatic on no debt ever?
Oh yeah. But you got to hand it to him. That's a lesson in just business promotion and marketing and values. But regardless of that, but Entree Leadership, I think is fantastic. And the reason why is because the type of content it does. It's answering questions. So you're learning from the audience's questions. Nice. And I think that's pretty sick. Yeah. The other one that I'm on is Stanford Business School. They interview, they have a series. You're going to find it on their YouTube, but they interview, all the titans in business. You're talking about the leaders of Sequoia Capital. You're talking about, Microsoft CEO and all the different businesses out there. And you can learn a lot listening to the founder of BlackRock talk about hiring talent and how he thinks about it. Yeah. And so I'm on that kick lately is listening to and consuming all that stuff.
We did an interview with Tim Wentworth. It was a random thing that we had a connection to, the CEO of Walgreens. And he run big Fortune 100 healthcare companies. I'd swear to God, Keith and I asked, I think 2 questions and we just shut up and listened for 45 minutes. It was amazing. I was just taking notes, and I take some notes during pods, but it was just like, oh my God, that's a good idea. Yeah. That's a good idea. It was like just a lesson in leadership. That would be a good one to follow. I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah,
all right.
Same.
You could have lunch with one person, current or historical. Who would it be and why?
I'll give you a historical and a current. So historical would be Jesus for sure, just because of my faith. And, I think he's the most influential person of all time and also Son of God. But the current would be Donald Trump. Man, I would love to have lunch with Donald Trump. That would be amazing. Regardless of what you think politics-wise, because I'm sure it's 50-50, and I don't know how your show lands, but the amount of lessons you can take away in leadership and business and marketing and promotion and messaging is just wild. But the most recently, I would love to just get into his brain of how do you hold to a position so relentlessly with everything coming at you, because that is a lesson for leaders and everybody's a leader, right, in their life. But to be able to hold, most people are so fickle to their positions. They're swayed by the opinions of others. And that's a good thing because you got to be humble in some sense, but that tension between humility and actually being able to hold. I would love to pick his brain because there's a lot probably bad, but there's a lot of amazing traits that I see.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has been to the White House twice to have lunch with him. And he told me that Donald Trump is very different one-on-one than you see anywhere else.
I have heard that. I have heard that same
very
thing.
different human being, like very articulate and just, which just, you even had Bill Maher, who couldn't stand Donald Trump more than anyone on the planet, go have lunch with him and said he was an absolutely completely different human. So I actually find that interesting too, because I'm going, I really want to I want to see this different personality type of the one that you see on TV, to your point, and then also this person behind the scenes who's relentless on his views.
Well, and think about it too. Yeah, please, Donald,
by the way.
Yeah, please, for the love of God.
For the love of God.
But you can dislike the messenger and still hear the message. And I think so many people get wrapped up in the messenger and they don't think about the message. And that is a key thing. Like I know in my life, has hurt me is that I dislike the messenger. So I totally tune out everything that they're delivering versus taking what is good from the messenger. So.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, you want to start us off on the main talking points?
Yeah, let's do it. So you operate a company where you market across how many different industries again?
140 technically.
Yeah. Yep. So primarily all, I think, anchored into relationship, right? So repeat and referral business, how to grow wallet share with a customer or continue the life cycle of various industries. I'm curious, like you've tried everything over the years. You've done this for a long time. What really works?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Here's the truth, as much as it kills me.
That's the only question we have today, by the way. That's it.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Luke. Peace out.
Yeah. What really works and will solve all your problems is actually talk to your database.
What?
Like, that will solve all your problems. I hate to even frame it as pick up the phone and call them, because it doesn't have to be a phone call. It can be a cup of coffee. It could be meeting them at church. It could be bumping into them at the park. But the truth about relationship marketing is relationship. And how do you get relationship? Relationships come from getting to know people. How do you get to know people? Getting to know people comes through conversations. How do you have conversations? You got to talk to people. And then what people fail to understand about marketing, especially in relationship marketing, is all the other money you spend, from billboards to shopping carts, ads, and to magazines, to postcards, to everything else you do, gets amplified 10x. When you have the actual human to human connection. The reason why I'm so adamant about at least touching base with your client base and in your key relationships once a quarter is because now your email stands out in the inbox. Right now your ad actually is seen. And it's just so sad that people don't realize. And I was just speaking about like really powerful executives. I'm part of a group called YPO. It's business owners all around the world. And one of the people in my group runs a huge portion of UBS. And they shared with me a tactic that they use in their company where they do it calling just to say hello. And she was telling me that you will be shocked. Just call your team members and just go, hey, Keith, I was just calling you to say hello, man. How's life? And the team members are so taken back because nobody calls to just say hello.
Right.
Everybody calls for a reason, for something. Yeah. And she does this, and I've been implementing it, and it is really shocking. And that then relieves all the fear of the phone call, because you're not calling to ask, you're not calling to take, you're not calling for any of that. You're calling to just say hello. And it will change your whole life. I try to give people frameworks. Do a 5 for 5. Take 5 people, spend 5 minutes a day, and personally reach out to them. You do that for your whole database. You're probably hitting 80% of your database over the course of a month with a personal connection. And now all your other marketing that a Reminder Media or anybody else can do for you is elevated 10x.
You know what's wild is 2 things. One, we had the print and digital media guy saying the most important thing is you call your past clients or your database or whatever you want to call it, right? So
exactly.
That's interesting. And then 2, I think what's wild is how inverted it is. So a lot of professionals don't even do the emails and the non-rejection stuff, right? Then some agents will do a bulk email, maybe a postcard, get a magazine, whatever, right? They'll have the systems that don't involve actually talking to someone. but it's almost like the further you get up the pyramid, fewer and fewer, and almost none, very few consistently, persistently will call, pop by, invite to coffee, call to just say hi.
Right.
So it's like the pyramid is totally inverted. The most important part, the fewest agents are doing. And as you get down lower and lower in importance, you have more and more agents doing it to where most are doing, or many are doing nothing, right? Which is at the bottom of the pyramid. How do you fix that?
Whew. I wish I knew.
You're right. You'd just be selling that newsletter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the more I do marketing, and then with Acree Brothers Realty and what we're trying to implement, I realize like fundamentally for the agent, like we have a new agent on the team, or I shouldn't say new anymore. He's about almost 2 years in. And from May to May, he's closed 80 deals, 80 transactions. It's crushing it. But what's the difference with him? It's calendar management. Is we have a strict calendar we live by every morning. I'm texting him at 5 a.m. Are you up? Every morning about 6:30 to 7 a.m. I get his goals for the day and his recap of yesterday. And that's in the relentless kind of pursuit of honoring the calendar has made all the difference, because it keeps you like consistency is undefeated, as I think Jared James says, right? And I love that saying. It's really hey, the reason why you don't do the marketing piece is actually not because you don't have the knowledge to do it or even the desire. It's because you don't have the discipline, and discipline starts with intentionality. So first you got to back all the way up to purpose, so you can be inspired to have intentional, set of calendar, and then the discipline to implement it. And then when I get to the actual marketing pieces, which is more tactical, I get into the types of content that you're sending and how you're organizing your database matters tremendously for getting you the ability to reach out.
So, can you talk about that? Because you guys run a team, right? So, and you use print extensively. So let's talk about map that out for us. What does that look like with print and the whole thing?
So we have a team, Acree Brothers Realty. It's in Lynchburg, Virginia. There's about 5 agents on the team. Okay. And I think it was like 268 transactions last year, about 51% from referrals. What we do is we have our platform, Reminder Media. And Reminder Media, we have a custom magazine that we send. And that goes out 6 times a year. So that's our relationship-driven print touchpoint. Then with Reminder Media, we also have a local events email newsletter, which curates the local events happening in Lynchburg, Virginia. That goes out every 2 weeks to the Sphere.
So it's content people want to actually read.
Exactly. Then we have an email newsletter that has market updates, has things that are going on with the team, things that we think are great. So we have that going out once a month. So you see multiple emails, like 3 emails going out a month, and sometimes more based upon open houses hitting our database, stuff like that. So that's kind of our content, which I would consider lifestyle, relationship, value-driven content, which is one aspect of your drip, and it should be a big portion of your drip. But then you have proof-based content. Most agents only do proof-based content. What is proof-based content? Just listeds, just solds.
Number one agent in town.
Number one agent, exactly. So your proof-based content is necessary. There's a big lie out there that you shouldn't post your listings on social media, that you shouldn't be posting the awards that you're winning. That's a lie. You shouldn't only be posting those things. Sure. Because when you only post the awards and the accolades and all those things, then it is solicitation and it is just bragging. But if they know you personally and you're posting personal lifestyle-based content, it transforms the proof-based content. So we also have postcards that go out to our sphere. Believe it or not, that are just listed cards, that are just sold cards.
I still read them. I get them. And
I want my sphere to know I'm listing homes. Yeah. I want my sphere to know we're selling homes. Where activity makes consumers think productivity.
I mean, those cards are valid. I get those in the mail. I look at them because I'm comparing it against, I'm looking at the list price. I'm looking at the square footage, the bedrooms, bathrooms. I'm looking at the interior photos. There's usually 3 or 4 of them on there, and I'm comparing them against my home.
Exactly. That's 100%.
And then I throw them out, but I still want to look at them.
And then the key is you have this drip, right? So we have, let's say, you take your drip. We have like 200 touch points going because we also include
200.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, stop
slow
there.
down.
Yeah.
So 200 touch points. Like
when you add up all of the touches we're doing to our database through email, phone calls, text messages, postcards, magazines, client events, invitations, You're up to almost 200 touch points basically hitting the sphere.
All right, hold on. So someone just drove into a ditch because
they're
they
like,
heard you say that.
Crazy?
Yeah, right. Like, this guy's insane. I need to end it. This is crazy. Yeah. So absolutely someone listening is saying 200. Yeah. That's way too many. I don't want to be annoying.
Think about your spouse.
Okay.
How many touch points do you have?
Hey, now.
Right? And I don't mean, don't be dirty, but yeah. But how many touch points do you have?
For the viewers and listeners, the opinions of Keith Robinson expressed are his own.
You need more. The truth is you need more. Look, your closest relationships, you have hundreds, if not thousands of touch points with them. Your closest relationships. Yeah. If you're a data person, as you go down in touch, you go down in relationship to the point where you have acquaintances that you barely talk to and you never have a touch base with. Right. So now here's the difference. This is what freaks people out is they go 200 and they see it as a number and they think of one channel, 200 emails, 200 postcards. And the key is multi-channel. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of psychology behind this. I learned this from Jason Pantana because I'm a huge believer in omni-channel marketing, which is just a fancy way to say be on social, be on print,
do everything.
Do everything. But there's this thing in psychology called the frequency illusion. And the frequency illusion basically states, if James, you see me on 2 or more frequencies, your brain thinks you see me more than you do. And why is that key? 81% of sellers interview one agent. If you are not first in the mind of the consumer, you're last. We all know that. So how do you get first? You need every advantage. Yeah. And the advantage to me is be on every channel. There's 6 high-level channels of marketing that I want you to be on. And I want you to hit on 200 touch points. And let me give you an example of a guy outside of real estate. Brian Harris in Annapolis, Maryland, financial advisor, top 1% in the world. Guy is a stone cold killer. I didn't know he was a client of ours. Shame on me. Talk about relationship marketing. But we're at a conference in Phoenix, Arizona, and our booth gets a ton of people coming up to it. We come to find out Brian Harris spoke that day. He spoke about how he keeps in touch with his database. We were just one of the slides of the many things he's doing. And he pointed us out. He does 275 touch points a year. At the time of that talk, right? This is 275 touch points. He was making $6+ million a year. How many in the audience want to make $6+ million a year? And he's hitting his database 275 times. He had 52 weekly commentary emails going out. He had 6 magazines going out. He had 12 workshops happening. He has all these touch points. The big lie I think out there is people think they can over communicate. It is so hard to over communicate. It is so easy to under communicate. Right. And I would rather you have your people complaining that you're talking to them too much than what you're getting now, which is crickets. And if you tie it really all together, the key is you have this frequency, but it's like, what are you sending to create the impact?
I want to bring this up. This is a really fascinating discussion. I was on stage, God knows where, somewhere, and I brought up this whole rocket acquisition of Mr. Cooper and all the things that Keith and I pontificate on about the industry and the threats in the industry. To me, I'm not going to speak for Keith, but to me, this is the biggest potential threat to our industry long term. And let me explain why. Because I think it's very fitting. Rocket, with the acquisition of Mr. Cooper, is going to be servicing 1 out of every 6 mortgages in the US. So that homeowner has their loan service through them. Now they've got Redfin. So they've got the real estate brokerage. They've got the website portal. They've got financing. They've got title. And now they have servicing. So think complete ecosystem. And that homeowner is going to own that property for 8 to 14 years on average. If they figured out how to do your methodology of 200 touch points to that homeowner over the course of every year for 8 to 14 years, and in our industry, Keith, what is it like? I forget the number. Like 80% of people want to do business with the same agent, but only 20% do. Whatever the number is,
more
like
than
that.
90.
Because we just candidly suck at following up with our clients. Like we're just awful at it. If you don't think Rocket's going to try and figure out that game and figure out how to incubate that customer and get them to use them, then we are being completely, utterly naive as to what that will look like. And what you're telling me is that the 250 touch points that you guys are doing, they're only thinking of you. Right. It's basically what it comes down to. You're hitting them via magazine, you're hitting them via postcard, you're even via email, you're calling and just saying, how are you? Which, by the way, is such a cool thing to do. Because to your point, everybody wants something from someone. It's like, hey, I just want to check in on you. And your first reaction, well, that was just super cool. It made an impression. I'm just calling
to say hello.
What's up, man? How are you? You know? I think that's just amazing. But the point I was going to with this was you got print in there. And we're talking about print being dead all the time. But I always find it funny because in our organization, we have these books that we do on listing presentations. They're beautiful bound books of the content. And we do it because we know that 90% of the content the agent's presenting at a listing appointment, no one's going to remember. They won't. They don't remember anything you told them. So
it's true.
You've got this gorgeous book and they're going to flip through it at night and there's this really good presentation. And the point we always tell people is print isn't actually dead. It's been about how you do it and what the content is. So I love the fact that you guys are pushing that, and apparently your brother's team does this, and that you find a tangible result from being out there with this magazine. What is the magazine, by the way, local?
We see a 31% referral rate over the course of 6 issues. So that is from our ecosystem of thousands of clients. We hire a third-party firm, GFK, that comes in and basically does surveys and all this stuff to the actual recipients of the magazine, not the real estate agents, but right. We have that too. But, and so we find that, but I don't normally say on statistics. I just tell them, guys, you send 100 people, that's 31 referrals. You won't close them all. If you're halfway decent, you'll close 50%. Mm-hmm. That's 15 deals. What would 15 deals do for your business? Now, here's the thing about any lead. They don't walk into the door and say, here's my money, take it. But no business is that way. E-commerce is not that way. Usually you have to get them into the funnel. You have to get them somehow to raise their hand. And the phone call is usually the best way to do it. I see from a print perspective, print is 100% less today than it was. So if you consider less as dying, then you are correct, is what I tell people. Yeah, there's 100% less print. Or you could see that as an advantage. Because anybody who's a student of marketing knows the real key in marketing is you got to cut through the noise. Right. What can I show on TV to stand out as an ad? That's why that Super Bowl commercial with just the QR code was so incredibly popular. It was like 2 Super Bowls ago, where it's like it was just a QR code floating around the screen because it was a pattern interrupt. Like that's the key to marketing is how do you stand out in the feed? How do you stand out in the inbox? How do you stand out in print? Print gives you an advantage. Why? Because, what percentage of emails are open? 90% of mail is seen. And it used to be that the average person was getting 20 plus to 30 plus pieces of mail a day. Now they're just getting a couple pieces of mail a day. So now you cut through the noise. And to your point, the type of mail you do matters. Like birthday cards still matters. The FedEx package you still open, man. That Amazon box, I get way too many.
Same.
So it's the quality of mail that you do matters. And it's also as you play into kind of mail in general, mail touches on the senses differently than digital does. And there was a study done by Temple University and the U.S. Postal Service. And again, keep in mind, I do print, but we do Facebook ads. We do millions of dollars of Facebook advertising for clients. We do email marketing. I send millions of emails every week for our clients. So I'm biased to print because I offer it, but I have these other perspectives. But there was this study done by Temple University and U.S. Postal Service that showed that physical mail had a better ad recall by a massive percentage. And for those who don't know what ad recall is, it's I show you, Keith, an ad on digital, and then I show you a postcard. And then I bring you back in 24 hours later and I ask you to repeat what was on that ad. People are it's easier for them, I should say, to recall print than it is for them to recall digital. I don't know why. It just is. The theory is, in the neuroscience of it, is that it's because it's physical. And it touches the other senses. That makes it ingrained in the memory more.
Probably the same reason when you write down something, you memorize it better than if you type it, right?
So to me, that leans into what? If there's a more emotional component to something physical. So in my opinion, where you should be using print 100% is in your sphere, is in your relationships to tap into that emotional component. Whereas when you're going and doing more, what I call anonymous public advertising, there's great tools with Facebook ads and Google ads and all that stuff that you should also be tapping into because you can reach more people for the dollar. But don't underestimate the power of print when it comes to the ability to have ad recall, make an emotional connection, and also trigger the frequency illusion where they see you on their coffee table every day.
Right. Yeah, I think, I don't remember who, Stephen Covey, maybe John Maxwell. I can't remember now, but one of those books I read years ago, he called it what you just referenced, the 180 degree rule, which is if everybody's going over here, do the opposite. Like if everyone is saying, I'm not doing print, that's dead. You should do print. Right. And the proof source for that, I was at an event a couple weeks ago. There was a agent in just finished, I think, her 5th year in the business. At the event, when she was there speaking, she had $30 million in contract.
Whew.
Like, so
crazy,
not trailing 12 month. I mean, in escrow while she was speaking at the event. So I asked her, Q&A. I was like, well, I got questions, lady. So I asked her, I was like, how? What'd you do specifically? Where did you spend your money? How did you market? You weren't an agent. And now 5 years later, you have 30 million in contract when you're answering this question. How'd you do it? She said, newspaper ads.
Shut up.
Swear to God. She went, it's a very nice community where she lives. It's got one of those little local newspapers, right?
Yep.
And she dominated from day one, full page ad in the local little.
That's why if anybody tells you there is a secret formula to marketing, they don't know what they're doing. There are principles that work, but the best marketing is the most targeted marketing.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that limits your ability in targeting is time and resources. And so you just go, man, the more targeted you can be, the more niche you can be. There's riches and niches.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, as a local service provider, that's why you win off of referrals.
Yeah. Let me add one other piece to that, and then I'll let you go, James. But the other piece is... no, I didn't. I almost
he was going to call you Jane.
I was going to call you something else, but then I was like, let me just call him James. Yeah. No, I was going to call you Dwiggy. It's consistency, too. That's the other piece. She ran from her first day in the business. She was running a full page ad. I didn't ask her what the hell was in there because she didn't have any listings, but she just did it. Every week, or I don't know but no calls came in. Like, I think a lot of people have run the ad once. Some people have run the ad
I
twice,
feel that pain personally,
right?
and deeply.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the phone doesn't ring and they're like, this is bullshit. I'm going to go, you know what? Open house. Open house is where it's at. And then they try an open house and it's a rainy day and no one
they
shows
slowly
up.
spin their way out of the business.
Yeah. And instead of, if they would have just stuck with one thing for the 12-month period, they probably would have gotten a result.
There's a great saying, if you want to get rich, do direct response. If you want to get wealthy, build a brand. And, people are chasing direct response all day long, and it can make you rich. But if you study all the Fortune 500 companies, they are way more invested in building a long-term brand where business comes to them and they don't have to pound the pavement for the business. But that takes time. It takes like delayed gratification is one of the fundamental principles to success. How long can you endure pain? How long can you delay your gratification? And the more you can delay your gratification, the more successful you will be.
I got an idea, Luke. I want you to hear me out on this. Tell me if this is a good idea or stupid. So we're talking about print going the other direction. I like Keith's approach to that. I got this idea to take listings off the MLS, and I'm going to create a printed book, and then you need to drive.
Damn it, James! I was
mid-sip. I thought you said you weren't going to talk about this.
Yeah, I was mid-sip of coffee.
But I was thinking you could just come to my office, and then you could flip through this book, and I think it's a good idea. Look, you just said go the other direction, so I'm
going on mute. You're not wrong. That is,
oh God.
Yeah.
That's so
is
funny.
The 180
we
degree
made
rule.
It 39 minutes. By the way,
I'm gonna leave that conversation to smarter people than me. I'm gonna let you guys fight that battle.
Yeah,
I have enough battles. I'm just trying to get listing photos in from agents.
We all tilted our windmills. All right, I have one concept that I want your opinion on, and I think it's important. It's the psychology around. Like, look, we just spent, minus the last 45 seconds, we just spent, 30 some minutes talking about the importance of reaching out to the people who know you, trust you, and love you, right?
Yep.
Like, that is not earth shattering. That has been said forever. So, but people don't do it. And I think it's some of that delayed gratification thing that we talked about, that sort of distracted, you don't see a result, and so you try something new all the time and never do it long enough to get the traction. I also think that the agent, look, if Nike runs ads and they aren't popular, Phil Knight cares, but he sleeps just fine in one of his mansions, right? And I can't buy Nikes. Nikes run narrow. I don't, right? So I buy Adidas, and but I don't think Phil cares at all because he's still selling a shit ton of Nikes, right? So, but when someone says no to a real estate agent, it's their face on all the marketing. They're literally
it's personal.
They're saying no to you, not to your brand, not to your product. They're saying no to you, and that hits different, I think. And so, how do we help agents push through that, or anyone in sales, regardless, right? Because it's so personal. The brand is so personal. We just got done talking about how you're going to beat Rocket, have them pick you, not Rocket. How do you beat Zillow? You stay so frequent contact that they reach out to you because you're the person that they know, trust, and love. Well, when that person says no, that hits different. How do you overcome that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a complicated issue. And so I'm probably not going to do it justice because it deserves probably a complex answer. No. Here's how I do it.
Yeah, perfect.
Because I face rejection all day long, and so do our team. Like, it's like anything in life. You have to find out what your motivation is and how you're motivated. Are you intrinsically motivated, extrinsically motivated? And it's probably going to be a mixture of both. There's reward that motivates you in pain, and there's also intrinsically just you have things that you can push yourself to. But I look at my life and go, okay, in order when I have to accomplish something, I usually need to get somebody in my corner to tie it full circle back to how we introed in this podcast even, is human beings oftentimes will do things for others that they won't do for themselves. And I think about our agents. Every Monday, I have a coaching call with Noah on the team. Every Thursday, I have a coaching call with Tim on the team. There's accountability partners that you have to bring into your life. And this is really even a biblical thing. It's like you have to get accountability partners of trusted advisors that will come in and speak into your life that you will have the humility to listen to. And the key is only a few trusted advisors. Don't listen to everybody else, but choose the one or two people that you will allow in. And those people you make a commitment to listen to. And those people need to know what you're supposed to do and hold you to it. So that's one avenue, is going like, hey, you're not going to make the calls unless you have someone that's going to help you be accountable to making those calls and reaching out. So where's your accountability partner? You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for a coach, even though I think that's a good thing. Go do it. Right? It's get an accountability partner. That'd be one piece of the answer. The other is, for me, I think your body, mind, and spirit. So usually when you're lacking in motivation to do something, it's because the input that you've been putting in is not sufficient enough to give you the output that you need. So I would gut check immediately. How are you feeding your mind? What podcasts, what books, who are you hanging around? Who are you allowing in? And what content are you allowing in? Because when you need it, when you're facing rejection and adversity, you're going to go there to get that deposit you've put in. You're going to try to get it out, and you're going to try to let it motivate you. And if you put in crap, you're going to get crap. And then second would be, okay, your spirit, how you're feeding your spirit, and then physically. How are you feeding the physical, the food? Are you going to the gym? I know you guys box together, which I'm still excited to see, what that even looks like.
It's not fun.
But it's bad for James.
But how are you doing that? And then don't complain about the bed you're in when it's the bed you've made.
Yeah.
Take extreme ownership and go, hey, look, it's not magic. There's no magic here for me. It's just the same as like if I'm going to go to the gym. Yeah. I've got to put frameworks and people in my life that are going to hold me accountable to doing it.
Yeah. Luke, I love what you just said. It's all encompassing, and I think they're all very valid. I'm going to add a fourth thing on there just for me, and I'm only just sharing my perspective. You also need that the accountability part. You need to have the people in your life who prop you up, where you care about their opinions of you. And the reason I only say that is this is going to be a horrible statement, but it doesn't matter what 99% of the planet thinks of you. They're irrelevant in your life. They shouldn't be impacting who you are. What matters most is, I think we'd all agree, your friends, your family, the people that you spend your time with. And if they're propping you up and talking about how good of a person you are and the things that you do, then you can also train your mind to tune out the no's, the negativity, the rejection. Because if you let the rejection influence who you are, then you'll have the fear of picking up the phone. And it takes time and coordination. Keith and I, obviously we banter, but we're very close friends, right? Yeah. We talk about anything and everything, personal, business, whatever it is. And we're not afraid to tell each other like, dude, you got this wrong. Like, this isn't, you need to do this differently. Or, hey man, you did an amazing job on that. Like, you effing crushed it. Like, you crushed it. Right. And so I think the comment I'll tell you is, for viewers and listeners, in this job, you have to get comfortable with rejection. It's just part of it. Like, and you have to learn how to tune that out and then fill your cup with that positivity of the people around you, so that you can get 10 no's and you get one yes. And then you live on that one yes. You know, the 10 no's, or that's all behind us. We got the one win. We're going to focus on the feeling of that moment. So I just wanted to add on there.
That is so good. It touches on a chord. I've been on this kick lately of like, the number one thing that's held me back in my life is pride. And that is not look at me, self, defamation of my character. It's more of like, I never thought I was a prideful person because I'm not outwardly arrogant or boisterous. I don't think my team would say that, but I've been sharing. It's like lately I've realized, oh man, that silent pride of caring what someone thinks just kills. It kills the social post. It kills the hard conversation with the team member because you want to be liked, not respected.
Yeah.
It kills so much the rejection of the phone call. It's that silent pride. And what I've been learning recently is like, what you keep in secret has power over you.
Oh, totally.
What you give voice to, like, it has power. When you keep it in secret, it has power. But when you share it, it has no power over you. You have power over it. So when you share the things that you struggle with, when you share the things that you messed up on, the mess up has no power over you. When you hide it from people that you mess something up, it eats you. It has power over you.
Vulnerability.
It's crazy.
I learned this over the past few years, especially when you do a lot of public speaking. Like, you have to get comfortable. I found that you get much more comfortable on stage when you don't give a shit. Like, they're just, no, I'm being serious. Like, it doesn't matter. You have to internalize some things to be a better speaker, but you're never going to please everybody. But I also found that, at least I'm just speaking my life, that the more vulnerable you are with people, when they ask you a question, instead of giving them the answer that they want to hear from you, if you're just giving them the honest answer, you connect more on a personal level with people. They also respect you more, and then they realize that you're just a human being too. That vulnerability is such a huge part of it. And I've tied that to, when there's lots in business, you're going to have lots of failures, just things that just don't happen. That's just part of it, but you have to celebrate the wins and celebrate them with the people that bring you up.
Yeah.
So
I'll add one other piece to this whole rejection component, and not everything you both have said. And I find there's I think it triggers people's imposter syndrome when they get rejected, right? And I think it's Hormozy who says something like, you don't get confidence from screaming affirmations at the void. You get it from honoring the commitments that you make to yourself, or something like that, right? And I think there's real truth to that. When I know I've done all the right things and it doesn't work out, it doesn't bother me. When I know I've done the right things, my intentions were in the right place, I didn't, right? It doesn't work out. Things don't work out sometimes, right? All right. No harm, no foul. Keep it moving. But when I know I haven't really done everything I'm supposed to, and I kind of said I was going to do it, but I really didn't.
Stop speaking to me right now, man.
I started it, but I kind of half-assed it, right? I didn't really do it. I just checked the box that I did it, right? And kind of halfway lied to my coach and told him I did, right?
That's so good.
Then someone rejects me. Well, then it hurts because it touches that piece of me that I know I didn't honor my commitments, right?
So valid.
So that's the only piece I'd add.
Dude, I hope everybody listening to that part of the episode, that is fantastic.
There was some gold in there between the three of us on that.
For sure.
And the underlying point of tying this all back is if you can get over that part, and then you can get comfortable contacting your sphere. By the way, Luke, the part I walked away with, lots of them, but the one that really stuck in my brain, if you're scared of rejection, just call and ask somebody how they're doing. Just start there. That's an easy call that everybody can do. Like today, it's just be like, I want to check in on you. I haven't talked to you in a while. How's the house? How's the kids? Whatever it is. And just don't make it about business. Just have a personal conversation. You will find a place where there is a natural fit to talk about business, either then or at another follow-up. And that alone is just going to start to change everything.
Yeah.
So
All right, Luke.
It's do the unexpected, people. Do the unexpected.
Yeah.
Nobody expects you to call to say hello. One of my mentors, Sean Carpenter, a great trainer, great real estate agent. He is such a ninja at this. Do you know of Sean?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. He's such a ninja at this of doing the unexpected. Like he'll send me a message on my son's birthday. William's birthday. He'll do stuff like that where it's like everybody sends me a message on my birthday. I shouldn't say everybody, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, he's like, hey, Luke, I know it's William's birthday. I hope it's a great day for him. Hope you're doing well, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, that's a ninja level. That's the unexpected. Yeah. It's like, but that's the whole premise of the call to say hello. It's just unexpected. You usually call to get something. It's just unexpected.
Yeah. All right. We end every episode with this question. I think it's probably what we just spent 40 minutes talking about. But if you were an agent or a brokerage, other than sending a magazine, what's the one thing you would implement today to help your business?
Okay, other than sending a magazine, other than making phone calls. Yeah, exactly. What is the one thing I would implement? I'll give people the framework of, I think the most valuable thing you can do that's just sweat equity. You don't have to have magazines, post or anything, is a 5 for 5, where you pick 5 people a day, take 5 minutes. And do a video message. Do a video message, and I think a phone call would be better, but do a video message and just go, hey, I was thinking about you today. Video messages are basically 100% seen. Right. And the engagement
and you
rate,
have to respond because you feel like an ass otherwise if you don't.
Exactly. There's a great agent, Nick
It irritates me when I get him because I'm like, oh God, now I got to respond.
Exactly. That's exactly right, man. Nick Harris out of Michigan, I believe it is, does 102 deals a year for the last 4 years.
To be clear,
he does that every day.
Don't send me videos now for those of you listening. And if you do, it's Keith at nexthome.com. So
just no shirtless videos.
Hey, yo. Yeah. Yikes. Okay. Send videos. That's what I got. Yeah. And James at nexthome.com for all of your video greetings. Oh man. Luke, that was a fun one. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
We covered a lot of ground, and I appreciate your expertise and sharing with our audience. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Will subscribing to this podcast save the real estate industry as we know it? Yes, it absolutely will. Subscribe now and you'll be able to find out if I'm right.